to 8 glasses of water a day. Now, if somebody
8
weighs
ounces or 16 ounces?
8-ounce glasses of water, let's say, or more. But I tell people, if you want to drink more than a gallon, go ahead. There's no rule that you can get too much.
Right.
But it's necessary to get the minimum amount. Now, if somebody weighs 98 pounds, well, the person who weighs 250 pounds may need more fluid because he's a larger person.
Sure.
So water is critical for good health, as is nutrition, as is exercise, and these health commandments are linked together just as God's moral law. But we need to move on because sunshine's the next big one. I love doing sunshine. In fact, I have
Danny, that's what you're here for. So go.
All right. Well, let me show you this. I have, when people come to Bella Vita, I give them, I said, so what's the sun good for? Let me ask you, what's sunshine good for, Dwight?
Well, a lot of people think tans.
Danny, okay. But
I mean, obviously we need sunshine for things to grow.
Oh, things to grow.
You know?
Good.
If we had no sun, I doubt we would sustain life.
Right.
If we didn't have sunshine, which with that brings in warmth.
Right.
I mean, everything would be freezing. We couldn't grow anything.
Well, typically at Bella Vita, when I ask that question, I get vitamin D and some of the answers you gave. And I said, well, I'm going to give you 4 pages on what sunshine does to the body. It does everything from lowering blood sugar levels, helping in depression, helping lower blood pressure, helping asthmatics. It's an incredible doctor that God has given us in the sky. You think of the plants taking in photosynthesis, and then they produce, you know, we eat the green plants and we're getting chlorophyll, which is the healing power of the sun through the plant. So the sun is incredible as a natural healer for the body. It even increases the number of white blood cells that improve or protect the body from disease. This is why often people are more likely to get colds and flus during the winter months instead of the summer months.
Like here in Michigan.
Yeah.
So you get to live in California. But you know, I did hear, and it brought to my mind that sunshine is certainly an aid for depression, because I think, and it might have changed now, but I know that I had heard statistics in the Seattle area in Washington, in that area where it rains a lot, that there is more depression there because it's raining so much. And I was in the service in there, and I kept thinking, is there ever any sunshine? And sometimes they have beautiful days. We can see Mount Rainier.
Right.
But obviously, sunshine does make people feel happy.
It does. It definitely does. And one thing I want to say, too, there's a big craze right now in the vitamin industry that we need more vitamin D. In fact, some doctors are recommending temporarily for some people as many as 50,000 IUs a day. Now, I supplement 5,000 IUs a day. I actually had it checked. I'm out in the sun a lot, and I was still towards a lower level. And they're finding that we are not utilizing and absorbing this necessary hormone-like nutrient like we should, and it is very critical for the immune system. Or it's not just for your bones and absorption of calcium. But let me tell you something here about sunshine that I also think is very incredible, that sunlight increases the capacity of the blood to carry more oxygen. That's incredible. Even a single exposure to ultraviolet light will greatly increase the oxygen content of the blood. Then another interesting one on physiology. When the pineal gland, a small gland in the brain, receives light through the eyes, it in turn benefits the pituitary gland. The pituitary gland controls the hormone production of other endocrine glands such as the liver, the pancreas, the thyroid, the adrenal glands. Thus, by allowing sunlight to enter the eye, many of the body functions are stimulated. So I've gotten the habit not to just wear sunglasses because it's cool. I want some of that ultraviolet light getting in through my eyes, and the pineal gland affecting the pituitary that's going to affect the endocrine system.
You know, I see a lot of people that wear sunglasses, and it's not, I mean, some of it's for being cool, but I think some of it, they say that it bothers them. Why would that? Apparently there might be a health problem there, or because sunlight is, you know, we're not going to look right into the sun, but how much, 2 things, why is that maybe a problem? How could people get rid of that? And then also, how much sun would somebody need per day on an average?
Well, I recommend that if somebody is going to do sunbathing, 30 minutes per side. That's all you basically need, and expose as much of your body as you can to the sun. Wear a short sleeve shirt. Wear some shorts, you know, or be in the privacy of your backyard or whatever. Do whatever you want. But I think that people are so accustomed to sunglasses today that they're just seem so sensitive to light because they're dependent on this.
Okay.
I think that, I don't look directly in the light, and if I'm going to lay on a beach all day long and that sun's beating in my face, then maybe I'll put something on to guard my eyes. But I think it's very important. Let me add a couple more things. Sunlight relaxes the body, it calms the nerves, and it increases adrenaline. The relationship is not just mental, it's physical, and both gastric and even duodenal ulcer patients have found to improve with beneficial effects of sunlight. It has an electrifying influence on the mind and the nervous system. The sun also prevents and counteracts mental depression. The nerves of the brain control the vital action of every part of the body and are soothed by sunlight, having a calming effect on the nervous system. So it helps diabetics. It helps people with hypertension. It helps people with stress and depression. It helps people to build their immune function. It helps people that are asthmatic and need respiration, bone mass because of the vitamin D absorption. So you just don't take it for granted.
So sunlight obviously is important. I was thinking as you were telling me about this, I was trying to parallel that with Christ, because sometimes in the New Testament, it doesn't just say the Son of Righteousness, S-O-N, it says S-U-N.
Isn't that great?
So obviously, and yet some people have become sun worshipers, which obviously we shouldn't be doing, and we know that. But the thing is that the sun does make us cheerful, and Jesus makes us cheerful. I mean, what a parallel from the Bible to Christ. He's created nature to represent Him.
Right. Now think of this. People come to Bella Vita, they're not feeling well, they're not following the laws of health. Disease is caused by a violation of the laws of health. They're eating the standard American diet, they're not exercising, they're drinking Coca-Colas, and they're not getting enough sunlight. They're in artificial light all day long. So think about, I get them up in the morning, I give them the lemon in the water, I take them outside and do deep breathing and stretching. I take them on a walk in the fresh air in the sunshine, and I look at them and we have a prayer, and I said, there, you just practice 6 of God's natural doctors in the first 2 hours at Bella Vita.
And so it doesn't take a long time. It's free. It doesn't take a long time.
You need to develop a habit of doing it, though.
Okay.
If you don't exercise, it's hard to go back and start. But once you start, you feel so much better, you don't ever want to stop. All right? So let's go to the next one.
Temperance.
That's a good one.
Now that we're going to end on temperance, but we could talk a whole time on temperance. There's so much to temperance. It's not just food.
What does temperance mean?
Okay.
I like the definition to abstain. This isn't moderation. In fact, I'm going to show you a few scriptures in here that temperance is a Bible doctrine.
Okay.
It's in the ladder of sanctification in the book of Peter. It's also one of the fruits of the Spirit, and it precedes patience.
Okay.
And and I heard someone say that it's nearly impossible for an impatient person to be temperate or exercise self-control. Okay. So it's to abstain entirely from things that are harmful to the body and use judiciously the things that are helpful and good. That means, for me, being a temperate person, I don't drink 1 glass of wine a day, and I don't drink or smoke a couple cigarettes.
Right.
I abstain entirely from things that are harmful to my body. And it's not a legalistic thing.
Right.
To me, it's why do I want to take a little bit of a substance that's going to be addictive, that's going to kill brain cells, cause cirrhosis of the liver, and who knows what else, a waste of money.
And plus, from my understanding, that many times when they say some of this could be good for you, it's usually like the grape in the wine. So just have the grape. Why? If we want something bad enough, we always seem to be able to make a mistake.
Right.
Or not a mistake, but justify ourselves so we can have that's kind of good.
People do that. I'm going to give you something in the Bible here that's a little challenging.
Okay.
Is that fair? This is
I don't know. We'll see after you say it.
Let's go to Acts chapter 24.
Okay.
I like this. And
Acts
this is
24.
the story of Paul before Festus, and then he goes before Felix. And I like what it says here in Acts 24.
Okay.
And they're making all these accusations about the Apostle Paul. And verse 24, why don't you read 24 and 25?
Good. It says, and after some days when Felix came with his wife Drusilla, who was Jewish, he sent for Paul and heard him concerning the faith in Christ. Now as he reasoned about righteousness, self-control, and the judgment to come, Felix was afraid and answered, go away for now. When I have a convenient time, I will call for you. Okay,
so what I find interesting here is the Apostle Paul, when he's talking to Felix about judgment, he just didn't talk about sin.
Yes.
He talked about self-control, and in the King James here, it uses the word temperance.
And and just what I wrote down the Greek meaning.
Yes.
Because I looked that
What's it
up.
say?
And the Greek meaning is under that self-control or temperance.